What is good, everybody? Thank you for joining me here today on a Friday on YouTube. This is crazy. Thank you all so much for being here today. If you don't know me, my name is TAETRO, and today we are going to be taking a look at the brand new update that they just came out with. Roland, that is. Roland just dropped the new update for the SP-404 MKII. Firmware update 3.0, which I cannot stress this enough. These improvements, these workflow improvements on the 404 now making beats and working with samples. The workflow is just 10 times better with this update. I say this, and of course, I must tell you all that today's stream is going to be sponsored by Roland. So thank you for Roland for sponsoring today's stream. But I have to tell you, let me just give you the behind the scenes. How does a sponsorship like this come up? So you cannot be like, I know I gave it very high praise, and I'm going to demonstrate why I gave it very high praise over the course of today's stream. But the way it works is very organic, where Roland reaches out to a bunch of artists and says, hey, we have this new update coming. Here, check it out. From there, I was not sure. I was like, okay, let's see what it has to offer. After I saw and took notes on all the features that I really liked, I was like, hey, this would make a great live stream. And then that's how it gets pitched. So I was praising this live stream before we even locked in the idea to do the partnered stream. So that's just a note there on the sponsor, but I do want to thank Roland for supporting the channel. So lots of amazing updates here on the 404, like workflow stuff. I'm going to show you my favorite ones. I'm not going to show you all of them. It's workflow stuff. There's DJ mode improvements. I'm not an expert on DJ mode, so we're not going to show those today. But I am going to show you my favorite. I'm going to show you my favorite new features of the 3.0 update today. But I want to first of all say thank you all for being here. Thank you all for jumping in. I see some people from the YouTube members, of course. I see all my members in chat. Thank you so much for being here. I also see Kawan and some people that have come over to support over on Twitch, because as you all know, I've been recently streaming on Twitch. I have streamed every single day this week on Twitch. If you don't want to miss the extra fun that's happening over there, just give me a follow, twitch.tv/TAETRO. Wanted to shout that out here at the top. But I want to thank everybody who's been super supportive over there. The Twitch family is growing. And it's very excited. David Carr says, should I buy one, TAETRO? Well, that is a very good question, Mr. David Carr. Should you buy a SP-404? Actually, let me give you all a little bit of context. Here on my channel, you will be able to find a video about my trip to Korea last year. And during that trip, I actually chose, the gear that I chose for this international trip was my 404 and a MIDI controller, the MPK MIDI Play, which they paired quite well. So I was rocking like rooftop sessions like this the whole time I was out in Korea with the 404. And man, I greatly enjoyed getting to know the 404 on that trip. But if this update that just dropped yesterday was out while I was on that trip, it would have made my life so much easier. So I'm gonna show you the updates, but like, I love working on the 404. As you all know, I'm a primarily like in the box DAW Ableton Live user because I can work so fast. And one of my major gripes with the 404 previously was there are just some workflow things that are very difficult. However, so many of the updates that I'm going to talk about today have addressed those things. So I'm very excited about this update. And I've been jamming a lot on the SP-404 lately, but it's complicated for me because, you know, Roland sent this update whenever they sent it, you know, ahead of when it came out, of course. Then I want to I want to make a video with the 404. I want to bring it out on a stream or something. But then I get so worried that I'm going to leak a new feature or something that like I've just kept it off camera for the longest time. So like, I'm glad that it's finally out. What's up? I see Sarah, the instrumentalist in chat. Hello, Sanam. Sanam, thank you for becoming a VIP member over here on YouTube. I appreciate it. How many 404 users are there in the chat? Actually, this is a good use of the poll. Let's run a poll really quick. Sorry, y'all, my internet's been a little rough lately, so sorry if we had a little bit of a dropout. But let me run a poll. Do you have a SP-404 Mark II? There's, of course, yes, no, and I don't want one. No, but I'm considering getting one. There we go. Poll is up. We can see what everybody's thinking, Get the plugin with Ableton. It works well. Yes, we're going to talk about that, BGM. Yes, we are definitely going to talk about that. As usual, during these live streams, if you have questions, feel free to ask them in chat. I'll do my best to answer them. I'm not an expert on every single new feature, but I'm going to do my best to show the ones that I think are most important. Okay. Where do we even begin? First of all, I've that beat that I was just jamming on. I did a beat session in the garden yesterday or 2 days ago, and that video is going to drop next week on Tuesday. Also, for all of you who never tuned into a live here before, we're usually live on this channel every Thursday, but we had to move that because of the embargo for this update. So usually live here every Thursday, and then live on Twitch a lot of other days of the week. Live session with the 404 coming next week. Stay tuned for that. Okay, let's get into some of these updates. First of all, where do I even begin? Okay, first of all, working with patterns. Working with patterns is so much easier for a lot of reasons, for a multitude of reasons, actually. So if I go into my pattern select and I play you some of the patterns, you're just going to hear different variations, right? Some with kick, some with no kick, some with no drums, some with top percussion, some with more like melodic layers. Right? So all those different variations of patterns. But what has gotten so much easier now to make all those versions of those patterns like you do in a song. You know, in a song, sometimes you want just your sample playing, then maybe just your sample with top layer percussion, then maybe just a version with only drums, whatever it may be. Now, instead of having to record every single version of those into a new pattern, we can now copy a pattern. Like this is my most full pattern here. And then we can press Remain to select the samples we want to copy. So let's say I actually don't want any kick or any snare. Let's only do the chords. I can hold these and see what these are. And my like vocal sample stuff. That's fine. Let's keep that effects. Let's even keep that little cymbal. So now we will not keep the hi-hat, this snare, that snare, or that kick. I'm going to turn those off. Okay, we've selected the samples. Now let's go to copy. Go back to the page where we can copy over, hit Remain again. And let's copy this over to pattern 4. I believe I did that right. So now we have a version of pattern 2 without all the extra samples on top, without the drums, with just the chords, just that little cymbal hit, and just some of the vocal samples that will come in later. So that's so easy. If I want to make a version with just the drums, let's try that. Let's copy it over. Let's copy it over to 3. Now let's press Remain. Let's only do drums. Press copy. So easy. So that's the number one thing. That is golden workflow stuff. You don't have to record every version of every pattern that you want. Just copy over and select the samples from the pattern that you want to carry over. All right, I did write a list down of my favorite features that I want to make sure I hit. Copy only specific samples from a pattern. Ah, yes, that's what we just did. Here's another great one. Let's say instead of working with patterns like this, let's find a good one. This one is fine. Here's a full pattern, but maybe I actually want to work with this full pattern as a sample. So this pattern contains a bunch of samples, right? It contains drums, it contains chords, it contains other samples, vocal samples, effects, and things. But I want to work with this as a actual sample instead of as a pattern with all these different parts. I want to basically bounce this to audio. So let's go back to pattern select. Let's select our pattern here. I'm going to hit copy. Now that I've hit copy and selected the pattern that I want, I'm going ahead to hit pattern select again. And now we are actually copying this pattern so that we can bounce it as a sample. Let's find an empty slot and an empty bank to put this in. Let's put it on D4. Then when I hit copy, it's going to bounce this as audio to that sample slot in bank D, pad 4. This takes obviously a little bit longer than when you're just bouncing a pattern, which is kind of just like MIDI information. This is actually bouncing audio. There's a number of reasons you might want to do this, but you all see, anytime I've used the 404 in videos here on this channel, I love sampling things into oblivion, coming up with something, sampling it, messing with it, sampling it again, things like that. So now we have this as a full pattern, as a full sample, I should say. We have the pattern as a full sample. So let's say I want to take this kind of upbeat hip hop style beat and perhaps turn it into a slower vaporwave style beat. We could slow it down. That other snare becomes very out of tune when I mess with the pitch there. But you see, we just took that pattern, bounced it to a sample, and then of course, what can you do from there? I mean, you could chop it if you wanted to. That could be a lot of fun. Assign those chops to a pad or something. I want to find a blank bank. There we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Enter. Oh. So basically now we bounce that pattern to a sample. There's a bunch of different things you can do with it, like we pitched it down. But now what we've also done is chopped it. And there could be a number of reasons and ways you could do that. So you could have a breakdown with the beat in halftime. Exactly. That's one perfect use of it. Oh, hi, Mika. Hi, Common Beats. Hi, B-Jammin. I should say hi to everybody, eh? Bobby Limes, Plux, Nick Muska. I ordered mine yesterday, and then day later, the update drops. Good timing. That is perfect timing. And y'all, I recently became a Sweetwater affiliate. I'm going to end this poll, by the way, so I can see the results. I recently became a Sweetwater affiliate, so if you are thinking of picking up a 404 and you want to use my Sweetwater link in the description, that would be very helpful. But also, it would also be helpful to me is if you checked if that link in the description to the 404 worked, because since I'm a new affiliate, their like linking system, I wasn't sure if I was doing it right, and I tried to customize it with the SP-404 or word in it, and I don't know if I did it right, but you can tell me if it works or not. Okay, that's a lot of fun, right? A number of different reasons you could do that. Let me bounce over and show off another. Let's look at another. Yes, perfect. Another feature here. So what I have here is actually a bunch of one-shots in this bank, and beats B and G, banks B and G. I have a bunch of one-shots, and you know, my intention there was I could play the beat, hop over here, you get the point. I could play a bunch of notes over there. For whatever the reason, if you're working with one-shots in a similar way, or for like any of the stuff in your pattern, a lot of times in your banks, you want to be able to edit all of the sounds in the banks. Like there's edits you might have to do and go in and change one by one. No more. No longer do you have to change certain settings one by one for each sample in a bank. Now we can edit a lot of the parameters for a full bank. So what's one thing we might want to change here? Well, let's say I have this instrument. Now, if I want to change, maybe I want to transpose this instrument. Maybe all of a sudden I've decided to put my song into a different key. If I hold the remain button, now any changes that I make are going to apply to the entire bank. So let's pitch the entire bank down to semitones. Did I do that correctly? Let me see. I think I did it. Oh, I did do it correctly. Perfect. So now the whole bank, we've adjusted to semitones. Let's do that a little more extreme so you can actually hear the difference. Holding remain. Let's go way up here. +6. What have I done? The bank. Start and end. If we want to do fade out, I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this. Start, end. Envelope. Holding remain if you want to change the attack. We can now change the attack. So like oftentimes when I'm chopping samples, like we kind of just did, all of them have that little snap at the beginning or end. So it would be helpful if we could actually edit the envelope of every single thing in this bank, like the attack and the release, which is new. Now we can also adjust the release of these samples. No more click. Because we've adjusted the envelope for the entire thing. Now, am I crazy? What did I do wrong before? I'm holding remain to bank. There we go. Well, that is adjusting. Oh, I thought I wasn't doing it right before, but apparently I was. So obviously that's really helpful if you have a bank full of melodic or harmonic stuff. Let's say you want to transpose your song all at once, change the entire bank, the transposition, change the envelope of the entire bank, attack, hold, and release, the pitch and the speed, the volume. That's another huge thing. Let's say you've decided that your whole bank is too loud. Well, I remember chopping a bunch of samples and going in and you click every sample, you adjust the volume for every sample, and you have to do that 16 times. You don't have to do that anymore. No longer do you have to do that. You can just go to the pitch and speed menu, hold remain, change the volume. It says to bank right there. And now all of these volumes are at 41 or whatever you adjust it to. No more going in and having to adjust it for every individual sample. Can you show me how to sample from your phone, please? Actually, we'll see if we can get to that. It's fairly easy, but that's not part of the new features, but I can try to demo that in a bit. But yes, that is so much faster. I also want to point out in the poll here, 42% of people have a 404 Mark II. That's great. 41% no, but I'm considering getting one. And 16% no, and I don't want one. Just chilling, watching. Thank you all for voting and letting me know. It's cool that there's 41% of people considering getting one. All right, running down my list here. Copy only specific. We did patterns and samples. We did copy pattern select. Copy only specific samples of a pattern. Yes. How about quantizing specific samples in a pattern, right? Maybe you want to keep your snare a little off. Maybe you want to keep your kick a little behind or ahead of the beat. But your chords, maybe your chords need to be locked in. Let's go to any given pattern here. Well, we can go to pattern edit, select this pattern. Let me make sure I have my order of operations here correct. Record settings. Yes. Okay. So we select our pattern via the pattern edit menu. Then we click record setting. And then we get a quantize button here. And you can select which pads you want to quantize. So if I go to bank A, I have all my samples that are available in this pattern. I could quantize, say, just my chords. And for those 4 individual pads, I can change the quantization grid and the strength of the quantization. It will give you a prompt that say, you cannot undo this. That's fine. Great. Now we've quantized just a certain set of samples. So maybe your kick is a little off, or maybe your snare is a little off. No need to go back in and record it again, or like do a bunch of different takes. You can go in and just quickly fix up a couple things in a pattern with the ability to quantize the individual pads. So that's huge. I can remember like the number of times I'd be recording a pattern and I'd turn quantize on, but it wouldn't quite, I'd still be a little off or something, or I don't want to have quantize on because I want to have the human feel, but then after I want to kind of fix it. It's like a push and pull with the 404, right? Of having the human feel versus actually being on the grid. It's a tough thing to master. So of course the ability there, pattern edit, select your pattern, hit record setting, go to quantize. It's going to tell you to select the pads you want to quantize and select any of the sounds that you want to quantize with the amount of strength you want them quantized and to what grid you want them quantized. Quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, sixteenths, etc. So easy, so easy. Pierre asks in the chat, should I get an SP-404? Would it work well with my Akai MPC-1 and Machine Mark III? That is interesting, and that's a lot of gear, my friend Pierre. It seems like a lot of redundant gear too. First of all, the 404 is way more portable than an MPC-1. If portability is important to you. Also, I'll say, I have an MPC-1, by the way. I'll say that the MPC-1 is trying way too hard to be a full-blown DAW, and it's very frustrating to work with for me. This SP-404, while it does have a screen, it's not trying to be a DAW. It's not trying to do all the things a DAW can do. It's doing its own thing, and it has its own strengths and its own weaknesses. So for me, using the MPC-1 is like using a very terrible DAW. For me, using the SP-404 is like using the SP-404. I guess that's a little bit of a difference, if I could articulate it well. Geez, Nightbot is popping off today. I apologize for that, Jen. So yeah, those are big, bulky options. Your Machine Mark III, you have to attach that to a computer. Your MPC-1 is big and bulky. It needs wall power. This can be USB powered and can fit in a bag a lot better. Deijo Takashi says, just as FX plus live FX unit, it's worth it, I think. I agree. The live effects and effects on the SP-404 are also kind of unmatched. Okay, I want to keep going through my list of new features to show you. This one is a good one. pad mute automation. Great. So to do this, I'm actually going to make a copy of a pattern. Let's copy that, pattern 1. Copy that over to pad 10. Okay, if you want to create variations of your patterns, what you might want to do, and let me actually just go back here, play this pattern. Let's go into record mode. What you might actually want to do is play with some of the on-offs of these pads. Maybe we lose kick for a moment, maybe we lose snare for a moment, create a more dynamic drum pattern. We can do that now. Shift, reverse, remain. Shift, reverse, remain. So now we've recorded that. So now I've got a variation, right? Now I've got 2 patterns. I've got this pattern with the chords playing as usual. And I've got a variation on that. I should have had a variation on that. Perhaps I did something wrong here. Let's try it again. Shift, reverse, record mode. Ah, okay, that's what it was. I went out of that pad mute mode. So there it is. Once I went back into it, my automation was there. So that was my mistake. All right. That's fun. So another easy way to create variations of patterns, faster way. But we can also record not only pad mutes, but we can record the motion, like automation of our effects now too. So let me put on this. Let me find a. Let's do it with this pattern, actually. I'm going to copy this pattern over to pad 14. This is sort of like a little breakdown. But wouldn't it be cool if we could record a filter movement like this for this section? Let's try that. Double check my notes so I make sure I get it right here. All right, here we go. If we go into record mode for this pattern, we gotta let it play through, of course, but we're gonna press the mark button. Did you all see that? Motion record start. Motion record is their terminology for automation here. So when it comes back around to beat 1 of bar 1, we'll be recording. There we go. And now you'll see that automation has been recorded. Motion recording, motion recording. You can see the numbers changing. You can even, you can also automate just effects on and off. You don't have to just be turning knobs. So that is yet again another way to add more dynamic more interesting things happening in your patterns. So not only can we more easily create pattern variations with straight up like what samples we're using in the MIDI of it, but now we can also change like fundamentally how does the pattern sound with pad mutes and with motion record. Okay, I think we hit my major favorite new features. There's a bunch of new features, but as you can see, like those workflow functions there, and there's a ton of new features actually that dropped with 3.0 beyond just that. Chat, are we back? Are we back? I saw that we had red for a second. I hope that it was okay. Man, my internet's been very inconsistent lately. I don't know if it's the weather or what, but I apologize for that. So we're good now. We're back. So what do y'all think of just those few new features? There's other new features as well, like being able to load in a super long sample. Let's say you were working in a 1-bar loop, but you had a very long sample, like a vocal acapella or something that was evolving. You could have it so that sample is recorded into the 1-bar loop, but doesn't re-trigger every 1 bar. So that's cool. I see lots of conversation about MPC, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of people with different workflows. Nick says, so excited seeing these new features, have barely caught up with the 2.0. So plenty for me to dig into when it arrives. Great demo so far. All right, I'm glad you're liking it. And what's up, Jeremiah Peterson? Thanks for jumping in. Okay, those are huge. Here's another one, and this has helped me a ton as well. While there are a lot of workflow improvements in the box, there's also some improvement. I'm going to move chat here in the fact that we can now, I'm going to change some settings to make this happen. I'm actually going to select no device for an audio input device. We can now actually select the 404 Mark II app as a plugin within our DAW. Hit OK, hit connect. You want to make sure you don't have it set as both an input device and this. This is now, it's going to act as essentially a MIDI track. But now we can very easily manage what's going on our 404. Even you can see, like, as I'm pressing samples here, the plugin in the app, as expected, is reacting in real time. And let's say you want to just get hands-on, a little more hands-on control with some of these things. It's probably a little bit easier to name samples, projects, etc. from within here. Normalizing all the functions you would expect, all the functions that are available on the SP, but maybe you want to more quickly do them with a mouse. For me, going from creating samples in Ableton Live to then getting them over to the 404, that workflow for me is huge. So I've had this project open. Why don't we open up a new project and start making something new, if y'all don't mind? And actually, really quick, before we do that, before we start a new project, let me talk about something else. That is just another little quality of life update, I would say. If we go into our utility menu and we go to System and we navigate over to MIDI, where did you go? MIDI. There's a few new features here that have to do with sync and stuff, but there's also one that would greatly help me in using the 404 as a MIDI controller. There's MIDI modes A and B now. Previously, A, the way the MIDI channels were lined up, was every bank would be a new channel, which, if you can imagine, if you're trying to use this with a DAW, and let's say you were trying to use drum rack, which, let me swap some settings here. I'm going to exit out of that app. We're going to bring that back in a second. But now, let's set the 404 as our input device. Oh, we actually don't need to do that because we're just doing MIDI. So now, oh, let me get out of this menu. Now, instead of each bank being a different MIDI channel, we can actually just have these banks, these first set of banks, A through E, be on MIDI channel 1, meaning we could use the entire drum rack if we wanted to, rather than having to like switch MIDI channels. That's just a tiny quality of life update, but that is helpful if you're using this with a DAW. Okay, anyway, back to it. I want to open up a new project. Select project 4. Oh wait, can I go show you guys something else really quick? Something fun. Ready? Check this out. This is not part of the new features. This is something anybody can do. You're gonna have to look up a tutorial on how to do it because I don't remember how to do it, or I can't explain to you how to do it. But watch when I turn the 404 on. Check it out. Oh. Bam. We got the TAETRO splash screen. But that's like, people like sell these, but that's like fairly easy to do. If you just look up how to change your SP-404 start screen, you can find a tutorial on how to do it. Okay. Oh, you got the MF Doom on yours, BJamin. Nice. What's up, Piccolo Black? Nice to see you. What were we doing? Oh, yes. We were going to load up a new project. Blank project. So this has been sort of my workflow. And this is a bit better for me, at least, than going in and out. It's been better for me than going in and out of the SD card. Let's load up the app onto a MIDI track of the VST, or the audio units in this case. Connect. And now, as I normally would, oh, you know what's so much smarter? Chat. We were working on some stuff the other day on Twitch. Let's open up one of those projects. And let's bring some of the samples over to the SP. Delete. I think that will be much smarter. What's up, Faded? Nice to see you. David Carr says, I'm thinking of just getting the MPC-1. You're crazy, in my opinion. You're crazy. But I wonder what is appealing to you about it. All right, so in this, I believe we have some piano, right? This was made the other day on Twitch. We have some drones. There's even some guitar here. Just a sleepy lo-fi beat, right? Okay, I promise this is gonna connect to our 404 workflow in a moment. What I'm gonna do is grab the piano. We're gonna freeze and flatten this piano. And apparently that's gonna take forever. Let's freeze and flatten this. Oh, BJamin? BJamin is leaking stuff? BJamin seems to have the inside scoop. They are gonna drop new MPC-1 supposedly at NAMM or after. So wait on that if you should decide. Interesting. David Carr says, because I can't imagine this is easier, rather more intuitive than an MPC. You're crazy. You're crazy. I'm a machine user with Ableton, so I'm very out of the loop. Well, I think the crazy part is, like, don't expect to go to the MPC-1 and get a smooth workflow like Machine. Like, even Machine's not a smooth workflow, but like Ableton. Tolga said, what is freezing? Freezing is we're going to turn this MIDI. So currently this is just like a piano program running and sending MIDI information. We're going to turn that into audio. so that we can sample it and drop it to the SP. Mason says, grateful for you, TAETRO. Been learning your music theory series. Amazing. I'm so glad you're liking the music theory series. Also, if you like the music theory series, all of you have been following along with the Ableton Live for Beginners series. Don't forget, or don't miss, that the 10th and final chapter of that series dropped. So all 10 chapters of the Ableton Live for Beginners series are now out. I guess I should have frozen a smaller section. I realized I froze the piano for the entire tune. That's why it's taking forever. Anyway, realized that at 99%. Let's flatten this. Flatten. So now we have audio. So to Tolga, to your question, that is what we were doing. We were freezing it. You would just freeze it if you wanted to save CPU and go back in and edit the MIDI later. But I froze it and then flattened it so we could get audio. But freezing is a means of saving CPU. All right, I'm going to open a new MIDI track here and drop the 404 here. Okay, connect. Great. Now, if I go to this current project, samples, processed, freeze. Now we have this piano here. And we could just drop it. Oh, what did I do wrong? Media error. Oh, maybe there's something wrong with it being too long. Hold on. Let me try. I'm going to just crop this instead of grabbing it from that project folder. Let me grab it straight from the DAW. Media error. What's wrong? Let me show this in Finder. I was just doing this the other day. We shouldn't have a problem with it. Let me do it even shorter in case length is the issue. Or maybe even the title of the sample is the issue. Piano chord 1. And then I'm going to consolidate that to see if that actually helps us. Boom. There we go. I think it was probably something wrong with the... I might have been dropping in the wrong file type. So now, that sample is here. Straight from the DAW. So, from a workflow perspective, what I've been doing is just sort of chopping. Like, let's say we're going to chop 2 bars at a time. And I'm just going to Command J this, Command J this, Command J that. All right, and then we should just be able to go, exit out of working mode here. We should just be able to go. This will actually tell me if I know what the problem is. Oh, that worked. Perfect. Dropping in these samples. So if you're thinking about converting your DAW sessions into live sessions on the 404, this suddenly makes things a lot easier. But remember some of the stuff we talked about before. Let me actually kill some of the compression that's happening here. We don't need it. And I can give you a little more gain. Here how we've got that little click on the top. Don't forget that we can go into envelope. Hold remain. Do a little bit of a slight fade in on the attack. We can also turn off gate if we want. There we go. Let's go ahead and add these to a mute group. Nice. Can you run the SP effects through? What do you mean, Piccolo Black? we've pretty much been able to do that. You can set 404 as your input device in live and run Ableton Live or your DAW through the 404 essentially. But I brought it over to the 404. Let's try to make something even more interesting. So we can go to pitch, hold remain. Let's slow this down and tune it down. Again, doing that all at once. So this is where my creative brain starts to go. Should we create a pattern with this maybe? I kind of messed the BPM up for sure, but we can try to find, it's got to be around like, oh, what did I do wrong? It's got to be around like 60 beats per minute or something. Let's see, it's real slow, but we can try to make something from this. The experimentation of the with the 404 is what I like the most. Like, cause if I can go and make music fast on the DAW, okay, I'll go make music fast on a DAW. If I can have a different experience with a piece of gear away from the DAW, that's like, that is for me. I know a lot of you are talking about, should I buy this gear? Should I buy that gear? I think it's like, get something that creates a different experience, you know? It's not worth it to try to replicate your DAW on another piece of gear, right? Let's just try a 2-bar thing. I'm going to turn the metronome on. I think it's already on. I'm going to hard quantize this. Where's my metronome? 1, 2, 3. I don't know if this is the right. I know why, because that specific figure isn't played in time. Let's delete this. And let me try another sample there. Exit, play this. Yeah, I'm gonna record that one in bar 2. All right, I like the way that sounds. Maybe a little bit of... Is that running standalone or does it need a computer? Well, we're currently... hold on, too many things happening at once. We're currently connected to the computer. However, I could completely disconnect from the computer and we could be running this standalone. So Mint Cookie, if you're looking for a standalone option, yes, the 404 is the direction to go, in my opinion. We are, though, exchanging samples from the computer to the 404, which you could do via SD card, but I'm showing off kind of the workflow that I've been falling into, where I'll take some of my projects and I'll use the new SP-404 Mark II plugin version of the app, and I will start building up my projects in here. Do that a little bit faster, get started, and then kind of move over. Let's bring over, on that note, let's bring over some drum samples. Here's what I want to do. What's the best way to go about this? Probably the same thing we did before, where I'm going to just duplicate this. Good. I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to freeze this track once again. And then we're going to bring some of these drum samples over. David Carr says, I use the push heavily now. Plus, it's my vibe. Nice. Thank you, Bjamin, for hanging out. Bjamin said, what's the point of the same workflow? In my opinion, it's not going to challenge me to grow. True. And it's just like the amount of options you have to come up with cool, creative ideas, right? For me, of course, I get stuck in one workflow all the time. My DAW workflow, right? Anything that I can do to break from that and also get away from the desk. That's why I love portability in gear. So quickly, let me jump in here. We've got the kick, we've got the snare. Got that little reverse thing. I think that's actually enough for now to bring in. So let's quickly consolidate these samples. Command J. Command J. Command J. These are all ending up in my processed project sample folder. Oh, that has kick in it. Let's see if we can find a way that we can get that with no kick. I think I used it very seldom. That's it. Right there. Command J, that. I'm just consolidating those quickly as a means of finding them more easily. There it is. Okay, then back over to the 404 app. Or a plug. I keep calling it the app, but it's like a plugin. It's a plugin version of the app. Is that fair enough? I'm going to, instead of putting these in the same bank, I'm going to put these in bank F. Where's the kick? Kick is here. Snare is here. And of course, don't forget, you can very easily just load up samples onto your SD card and do this right from the machine as well. But for me, a lot easier for me to get in the flow. Doing a hybrid approach. Let's ungate that. Actually, we don't need gate on either of these. So if our pattern was playing, see how we get. A little sad beat going, you know? All right, that was just for the demo anyway. I don't really love that pattern. We could probably delete that pattern and come up with something better. Or like just go down the rabbit hole even more. Let me go to A. Let's reverse this. What does it sound like reversed? And with a bunch of reverb on it, perhaps. It's a little too spooky. Grab some more stuff from the DAW so I can be a little more free here. I think this pad sound could be fun to play with. Actually, a faster way for me to get this audio would be to just do it like this, the old-fashioned way. Let's record this. I'm just going to record in that drone. Big spooky drone. And open back up the 404. Actually, let me do this quickly. Command J. There it is. It's this fast. I'm going to do this all in group F now. I've decided. What's up, Cassette Disco from Mexico? Hello, nice to see you. All right, and then once again, of course, that's on the 404. Where am I? Oh, I have a track soloed. That's why I can't hear it. There it is. Change the envelope. I've increased the release time on this sample now. Copy this over. Copy it. Pitch it down. So you'll notice that we are still in gate mode with these samples. Maybe I didn't mention this before, but now we have control over the release time of our sample. So I can set this back down to 0, and this is what we expect from gate mode, right? Like press it, and unless we're holding it down, it doesn't play sound. But now I can turn up release mode, turn up the release. Copy that over. Let's make... That's kind of dark. Ah, that's what it is. Check out this sample. There we go. I could literally sit here for hours and just like resample a sound, run it through an effect, like scatter. Like literally just hit the skip back button, which in the last update, they increased the record time of skip back to 40 seconds. If you don't know what skip back recording is, it's essentially like every sound you make with the 404, it's constantly recording. So if you play something you really like, or if you do something with an effect you really like, you just hit one button and suddenly, boom, it's recorded it and you can resample that sound. There's so many like weird little glitchy things we can do. But if I go back to that other project, I can show you kind of how that's built. And this greatly, all the things we talked about in today's update, it greatly influenced how this beat came together. So of course we have our one shots, individual chords. Let me actually see if I can find the project file where I put this together. Let me see. Try to load it up. But essentially what I did is I took a bunch of the samples that I wanted, processed them partly in the DAW, and then loaded them in. And I just switched projects in the DAW so we won't have audio. So I had this hybrid workflow where I could go and import samples, right? Like at any point I could go and scroll through my sample library and start a beat. Maybe I find some, oh, is this exactly it? No, I don't think it. I don't know what this project is, everybody, but I'll show it to you in a minute. Oh, you know, this actually might be... Alright, who knows? I got a bunch of just like crazy cookie stuff here. Guy, are you that son? No, that son is way cooler than me. Manny. Alright, hold up. I'm just going to open up the 404 app here so you can hear what I'm doing. So essentially, I'm basically was able to load kind of stems and sounds from the DAW right into the 404. So if I go over to another group, we've got that percussive loop, right? But eventually what I wanted to do, oh, and I didn't even bring up the fact that I was using this in conjunction with other instruments, so I'll show you in a second. What I wanted to do was eventually build up this track. So let me find versions of this with more layers. So I just sent over some loops that I created in the DAW, like this flute loop, which is actually Saikai's loop, I think, Saikai's flute. This little synth layer. And the bass line, which, if I'm playing this like this, if I'm playing the normal groove, you don't hear any of those layers, right? But if I jump over here to pattern select, when we get to here, not this one, when we get to here, you start to hear those layers, right? Because I'm not going to actually perform those live, but I still wanted them to be a part of the song in the breakdown. So I created a layer with that. Then I created a layer with everything. And... oh gosh, there's too many sounds playing at once. And this is where the fun begins. So I have my Orba 2 here, which is sort of like a perfect little pairing. And I have the Chaos Pad, which is just like a little effects unit. Chaos Pad Mini, I should say. So I set this to lead mode. You're going to hear this in a second. I'm going to plug that into the input of the 404. Then let me turn on the Chaos Pad, which I'm just really using for delay on the Orba. You can run effects on the input with the 404. I had I think cassette effects on this so that the Orba can sound lo-fi, but I also wanted a layer of delay on it. Go here. So let's set the delay, set it to hold, and now we have maybe a little bit too much delay. So let's change that. So I wanted to create a way that I could solo on top of my beat. And that's a lot of fun. But that's just a preview anyway. That's just a preview of what's to come. Because this full beat session is going to drop on Tuesday. There's been a couple other really great creators that I've been watching, and I just want to give them a shout out. Here, let me find the first one. If you are interested in more SP-404 content, because obviously I cover a lot of stuff on this channel. But one creator in particular is SP-Vids, who has also been doing stuff on Koala. But this dude's great. I watch a lot of his videos. I'm a member of his channel. Very cool videos. Very instructional. He also did a video on the new update. And I want to find... I came across another artist the other day. Oh, who was in this chat today, I believe. Or maybe is still here. But Deijo Dagashi, who has lots of cool 404 sessions. Zybes asks a really good question. I'm new to this. Can this be used to generate sound like model cycles? So the model cycles is a synth. I also have it. I have that. The model cycles is a synth where the SP-404 is a sampler. That doesn't mean we can't kind of get it to act like a synth though. And the main difference there is the 404 is going to work exclusively with like audio files, audio samples, right? So where you saw me just playing a bunch of sounds, like a drum sound here, cymbal, or a chord, or a vocal, all those sounds are just samples loaded onto this grid, these banks. The fun of sampling is manipulating those samples in different ways, how you assemble all these different samples to make the beat. So then it all comes together. So it's a different workflow than a synth, but we can get it to act like a synth, like I was saying. So what I did here, in knowing what I just told you, remember that every pad is holding an audio file, a sound, a sample. What I did in this other bank is loaded a single note of a synth onto each slot of this bank. So if you wanted to create a solo instrument, you could do it with that technique. I hope that answers your question, Zybes. I've got that MIDI Chaos Pad 3 too, but I have no idea how to use it. Can you show me a little bit about that one? Well, I'm definitely not an expert in it either. I'm just using it as an effects unit. So basically, if you have a sound that you want to affect, like I want to add delay to this sound here, I did that by adding a dub echo sound, but there's multiple types of effects on this thing. This thing has a lot of different effects, not just delays. Oh, I switched to, I accidentally switched. Little glitchy sounds too. It's just an effects unit. I think you can use it for looping and stuff, but I don't really do that. It's not really useful to me in that way. All right, my friends. Final questions here on the 404 update. Like I said, there's much more to it than just the updates we went through today, but those workflow updates alone have got me working a lot more on the 404. Whether I'm doing it in combination with my DAW, bringing samples over, using the new 404 plugin to be right in my DAW, so I can literally just grab samples in and out so fast. Or whether I'm quickly like turning patterns into samples or creating variations of patterns by only selecting certain samples within a pattern and making a new pattern out of that. And then adding more dynamic nature to patterns by doing record motion, changing effects on the fly and having that be recorded, or changing pad mutes, having that be recorded as well. So I hope you enjoyed this stream, checking out some of the new features on the 404 Mark II. I certainly did. Zybe says, what's one DAWless device you would suggest to do synth and sampling? Any recommendations on that? Well, I'll tell you that there are not many devices that do both well. So 404 is the king of samplers, I would say. 404 Mark II is the king of standalone DAWless samplers, without a doubt. Then there are other kings of like standalone boxes for synths. The Novation circuit isn't nearly as robust from a sampling perspective, or even from like a song making perspective, but the Novation circuit tracks can hold both samples and synths, but it's not a sampler. Just because you can work with samples on it doesn't mean it's a sampler. But it's a standalone groove box that has a balance of both. Leah, hi Leah. Thanks for this. Enjoyed a ton. SP-404 Saturday fun day incoming. Heck yeah. Yeah, and now that I can actually talk about this update and the new features within it, I'll probably be using this a lot more on the channel. It was very frustrating to not be able to rock with the SP-404 on streams and in videos because I was afraid of spoiling something. But now it's out. Cat's out of the bag, so I don't have to worry about that. I was just working with it behind the scenes, and I wanted to show you all what I was making with it, but yeah. My DAW workflow is like speedy, fast. It's about getting stuff done. My SP-404 workflow is a different side of my brain, it feels like. It's going down a rabbit hole and not worrying where you end up. That's why it's kind of actually challenging to do streams with the 404, because you guys could sit here for an hour or more and watch me like literally go down the rabbit hole. Like if that's what you guys like, we could do that. You could watch me stumble around and kind of like try to come up with stuff, but I don't know how engaging of a stream that is. Actually clear this project out. I didn't like where we started on that. Let's keep that. Delete, 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 delete. Oh my gosh, I keep hitting the wrong button. Delete, 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 delete. All right, we're going to keep that one sound. We're going to keep that one sound there. Piccolo Black says fun to me. Sounds fun to me. Well, let's dig in a little bit. Let's see. Let's see if we can have some fun. But I also get like self-conscious about my workflow with the 404 because like it so doesn't make sense. And I'm so used to having the DAW workflow that I can like explain to you all like so fluently. I don't often feel as fluent, or like it's not as fluent. Like I feel like I know what I'm doing on the 404, but I don't feel like oftentimes my workflow is not super replicable, if that makes sense. So for instance, we have this long pad sound here. Got the release time turned up. You can actually make the length of the sample longer. And I wouldn't mind looping it either. Let's loop that for a bit. Where do we go from here? Let's import a sample. I've got lots of different stuff here. Let's just get a kick sample in there. All right, we don't need more kicks. That's just one kick. Let's get a snare. Gentle stuff. That's fine. Let's get a hi-hat. exit. I'll turn gate off for these. All right, let's get a little pattern going. Let's delete that pattern. Let's figure out a BPM as well. I think we want to be a little bit faster, probably. What I want to do is go down the rabbit hole here, create something, and then sort of resample it. Do a 4-bar pattern. I'll keep strength of the record quantization. 2, 3, 4. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. We need another layer on top though, right? Like we need something else to go with this. And actually, this is sounding a bit too epic. That's better. Okay, go back into record mode. I'm gonna slow down the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Oh, that's why it's on loop. I don't need it to be on loop mode. Here we go. Then get weird with some effects. Now we need some voice or something. You can connect any device Zibes as an input to the 404, like we were doing with the Orba. There's a audio input here, like a essentially there's an input right there. It says mic guitar on it, and there's an input on the back, stereo input. I don't know what key we're in, so I don't know what kind of sample we're looking for. But again, that's why I kind of like diving deep here. Wait. Import from the SD card. A sample. All right. Oh, we don't need that kind of atmospheric. We don't need a bass. Probably don't need a texture. We don't need kick snare patterns. See, this is why sometimes it's much easier to do this via DAW, which we could do in a second.
Don't leave now.
Those are kind of creepy. Creepy samples there. One shots. Let's find a vocal. Oh, that's the vocal that I used in the other track. Let's use that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but let's try. I'm trying to make something weird. Let's get that delay on there. resampling that. So now we've got that with the effects. Let's pitch it down. And bring the volume down. So now we've got a mood of something. 2, 3, 4, 1. See how it's like becoming something? The hi-hat sound is definitely not it. In fact, let's do a little more resampling. There we go. Resample here. But I want to bring that BPM down. There we go. All right, now we're going to resample here. Let it fade out. Chord completed. Now, let's go to pattern. Wonder if we could actually let's add this on top. Great, and I just came up with an idea while we were doing that. Let's copy this over to here. Bring that volume down. Actually, here's what I want to do. Delete that. I'm going to resample to here. And I'll tell you why I'm going to do that. Because now, with this sample, I can't pitch it down anymore. It's already pitched down an octave. This sample now, I can. So let's play this back. Copy this. Okay. I'm getting there. I think I know what I'm doing. See how messy this gets? This gets so messy. And now, that's not the right pitch. Oh, that is what I want. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. There's no, we don't have a groove yet, but it's becoming something. And this is like literally, I would never work this way in live. All right, let's import another sample. And I'm building up this pattern. This is just how I work. I'll build up a big pattern with lots of layers, but now the ability to copy patterns, only parts of patterns, is great. Give me a symbol. Not a crash, let's get a ride. I would never use that sample, so let's try to use it. Everybody, if you're still hanging out, I appreciate you. This is just we've gone into full, just like uncut beat making territory. Did you already mention how to get the SP app VST into Ableton? It does not appear in Ableton for me. If you have the VST file and everything, just make sure it's in the proper VST file location. I manually I had mine sent to me because I had this ahead of time, so I'm not sure what the process is from your standpoint, but you should have gotten some VST files. Check where all your other VST files are held, in what folder, and then make sure those VST files go there. Bobby Lime says, Messi is good. Just read about Bon Iver's debut album. Kind of unrelated, but Messi worked for him. Hey, I don't think that's unrelated at all. I've loved learning about Bon Iver and his process, and that album is great. So what's up, Sino Productions? Nice to see you. Stuck at work? We feel for you, my friend. But it's Friday. All right, we need to lower the volume. Now resampling. I want reverb. What else do we want? Do we need a filter? Probably, let's see, a low pass. I'm going to resample that here. Let it ring out. What's up, Wizlo? A lot of people just jumping in. If you are just tuning in, earlier today we went over some new features of the 404 Mark II because they just released the 3.0 update. So those are very good quality of life features. And now I was encouraged to go down the rabbit hole into my 404 beat making methods, which are just all over the place. Hi, Boris G. Just tune in. How's the new update? For me, Danny, it's great. Let's do that right on the one, I think. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready, go. What's up, Dustin? And Boris just joined. Did I already say that? I already forgot what I said. Okay, but let's use this. This sample could use some effects, no? Let's add a little delay to that, though. I want to build this pattern and resample it. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but we'll try. Let's play this pattern back. Oh, I forgot. I was resampling. Resample here. And Let it fade. Let it fade. There we go. One. Boom, zoom. I don't even know what this is. Do you see what I mean, chat? I don't know what this is. That's why I feel insecure about working like this live on stream. But hey, shout out to Roland for sponsoring today's stream. They're getting a little bit of a longer one. I'm sure they don't mind. Bring that volume down a bit. I need something, like, I don't want to say I need another ride sound, but let me copy this here. Let me copy it again here. It's a method to my madness, I think. I want this to be so quiet. I want them to be slightly panned. Let's see if we can get this like this. Let's try to add that. And you know, the cool part about this is, let's not forget, if I copy this pattern, those of you who are just tuning in, you're going to get to see this new feature play out again. If I want to copy the pattern, I can hit remain and select only, let's say, the vocal samples, the drone. Let's keep that symbol. Keep that symbol. And let's take everything out besides that ride pattern that I just recorded. Pattern selects. No, why did I do that? I messed up the workflow again. Copy here, hit remain. We only want, not this one. And then we'll copy it. I've selected the samples. We'll copy it here, hit copy. So now we don't have that ting, 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 ting anymore, but we have it here. Okay, one last weird thing to do here. Import, let's find just one more sound, like maybe even a one shot. All right, I don't need that. Let's look for it. One shots, that's kicks and hats. What's this? SFX? Oh, these are folders. Yeah, we don't need more percussion. That's more intuitive than the copy pattern features in the Syntac and Electron Black Box series. I believe it. I mean, Wislow, I know you've been digging the Electron stuff, but that stuff, I mean, I have a model cycles, and now I have model samples too. I showed it off on Twitch, if you guys caught the Twitch stream. my fancy new model samples. But man, Electron workflow, I struggle. I'm so tempted to try to use that. I don't think we can make that work, but we can try. All right, I'm looking for like a single note. It would be great to have a single. That could be fun as well. Let's put that here. All right, we're gonna, of course, add effects like a reverb. And let's add some of that. But it's like so loud. And the envelope, let's change the attack. Let's resample that here. So easy. Where does that fit in our pattern? Who can say? But we'll find a place for it. Here we go. I'm not gonna land on the 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Okay, and what else did we add? We added something else. Oh, it's that, which I'm like, there's no way we're gonna make that fit. No. Nah. So like, okay, and then here's what I would do. It's like, what even is that music? So now it's like, well, the update makes it easier to do this. Hit this, and then we're going to hit, I can remember this, not remain, but we're going to hit pattern select. And now we're going to bounce this to a sample. Bounce it to a sample and then see what we can do with it. I'm loving it. I've got pretty fast on the syntax. When you copy a pattern, you can mute like that and it copies across the new platform. Got it. So it's like copying the mutes. So now we have the sample. So now let's just we can speed it up. Or we can slow it down. In fact, I actually want to do a version of this without kick and snare. So everything besides the kick and snare, basically. I'm going to leave the hi-hat out as well. See if I did this correctly. It's like raining quite hard out. I live in LA for a reason. What's up with all this rain? Here we go. So now we have a kickless version. maybe? I don't know. Do you guys think faster or slower? Or it's double speed. Everybody says slower is always better. All right. Here's where it gets meshy. We're gonna go to an even 67 BPM. And then, all right. See, like this is where I get too in the weeds, chat. Faster sounded cooler. Yeah, I could go faster or slower. I'm not really sure. I have no clear vision at this very moment. What did I say? 67 BPM? Okay, 67 BPM. That's 4 bars. We're going to do 100% quantization on this. 2, 3, 4. Where's my metronome? 2, 3, 4. Are the pitch and speed decoupled on the 404? I've never experienced how they work much, but they seem super interesting. They are initially, oh, I always forget to turn the loop off. They are connected initially, but you can deconnect them. Like it's called like vinyl mode, where like changing the pitch will change the speed, changing the speed will change the pitch, but you can go out of that mode. All right, I want drums. I want like big, heavy drums now. Why? I don't know. That's just the mood I'm in at the moment. I don't need these. These are patterns. That one's fine. Let's do a second kick. That's fine. Snare. We've got this like big floaty atmosphere thing happening. So it would be cool to have these sort of dry sounding percussion. That's fine. Twitch link just dropped in the chat. If you are on Twitch or if you have a Twitch account, I'm going to be streaming there a lot. I already have streamed every single day this week. So you should check that out. Let's get a clap. Wish there were like toms and stuff in here. All right. Oh, cancel. Go back. I need some toms. I want big drums. Kick, snare, kick, snare. Dome of Doom. Some trappy stuff. Thank you, CJ. Oh, these are some trappy stuff. We don't need that, but it's good to know I have that. Sometimes I forget what's on. I don't know. Give it a shot. All right. There's a shortcut for that, but I forgot it. Here we go. Let's play the pattern. So we've got this kind of half speed thing going. The VST file is nowhere to be found online. Let me do a little investigating. I wonder if it's in the downloads somewhere, or maybe it's in the downloads for the app. If I can find it, Piccolo Black, that's it for you. All right, let's see what happens when we download this file, blah, blah, blah. Please update the SP app to version 3.0. Okay, so you have to download the app and the firmware. I agree and wish to proceed. Download the file. Testing this for you. All for you, Piccolo Black. Oh, you're right. It's not in that folder. I wonder if... Check any VST folder that you have on your computer and see when you update the 404 app. If you have the 404 app installed, Piccolo Black, this is my suggestion, to make sure it's updated to the latest version. And then check any VST folder you have on your computer and see if it puts something there when you update it. But if anybody can help guide Piccolo Black, that would be great. What did we end up with here? Wait, something changed. I don't like that. Wow, it's really pouring. Okay, now like a crazy person, my instinct says, let's select this pattern and save it as a sample. Let's do this in B. And probably we're going to try to speed it up again. Here we go. Pitch it up. Faster. Oh, I didn't mean to. I recorded all those other samples on there and I didn't realize that. Yeah, what happened? I like accidentally recorded stuff. I was in record mode. Doing this the lazy way. All right, let's try that again. All right, bounce that again without those wacky samples. I'm going to be posting a clip. I'm going to also try to post clips from Twitch, but I'm going to be posting a clip of just the highlight from this with the updates. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned for that. All right, again, I want to mess with the speed. Let's go extreme. Not that extreme. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I forgot I was in that mode. So you see like how this is not a piece of music that I would ever... What's going on? It's not a piece of music that I would ever sit down at Ableton and make. And that to me is valuable because I get to make some other type of textures. I mean now, and then it's like all the options that you have. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2. Okay, we have that. Now let's assign some chops to some pads. Let's go to C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Enter. We can now change the envelope for all of them all at the same time now. Don't forget, new update, new update, new update. And let's do a mute group. Maybe we need more chops. That could be fun. Nope. I want to be here. Okay. Yes. Chop it. Clear these marks. And now do this, assign these to a pad again. Let's do this in group H. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, chop. So now I'm taking that idea and chopping it. It looks like an amazing gear, but I'm afraid it would take me ages to learn how exactly it works. With any standalone piece of gear, you do have the element of like, okay, you got to do this combination of buttons to do this and this and that, but you do find a workflow with it. And I think for many people, becoming an expert on one piece of gear is a very good route to go. It's just a matter of if you want to commit to that. But I would definitely advise people don't jump all around. Like you see me use all different types of gear on this channel. Please do not take that as an example of what you should be doing. I do that because I have the channel, you know? Okay. Again, let's get rid of that click. There's something here, right? Something I'm getting there. Holding remain. Nah, the slower tempo is definitely better. Oh, I have to do that for all the pads. Don't forget, hold remain. Something. That could be an intro to a track or something for sure. Here's where I'm going to go now. Stick with me on this one. I'm going to copy that to here. I'm not going to bring the kick or the snare. Not going to bring that either. Wait, I'm confused at what I'm copying. Hold on. Pattern. Some of these are just resampled patterns. Okay, this one is not. Here's what I'm going to do. Let's copy this pattern. I do want to copy it as a sample though. With no drums. Besides the cymbals, and no drone. Now, I didn't select the vocals. Copy. Good. Okay, I think I've done this correctly. Ooh, that was mind-boggling. Hello, actually the bounce feature in this update is something I was allowed to develop in collaboration with SP-404 Mark II developers, and they incorporated my idea. Is it a good feature? It is a fantastic feature. Thank you for your contribution, my friend. Oh, another message that says, I recently bought a Seaboard Rise and it took me a couple hours to set it up, but TAETRO's tutorial was the best of them. Wow, thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate you. Okay, now stick with me, chat. Like I said, I was ready to sign off the stream an hour ago, but Piccolo Black encouraged me to stay on for one reason or another. So you have to blame him for that. So now my plan is to chop this sample. And then assign it to pads. like that. No gate. SP-404 heads, what's the shortcut for not gating every single sample? I always forget it. This and this. And then we need a mute group. Okay, now we're going to go to a pattern. We're going to record a new pattern. 4 bars. Strength 100% for now. We're going to turn our metronome on. Go to rehearsal mode. I thought I was in rehearsal mode. Shift gate. I should have known that. I thought I was in rehearsal mode for that. But let's do a new pattern here. Not sure. Gotta do some finessing to feel rehearsal mode. Okay. Four. Like, what is this? Who can say? I'm only doing 2 bars. 2, 3, 4. See, I don't like it, and I need more time. The original mood that we created was good. But going through chopping and resampling, it's fun. I just need to like sit there for hours, and I can get lost doing this, and that is something I enjoy about the 404. Sometimes I'll not wake up, but like, what happened? So much time passed. Here we go. And now I've messed with this. So it is creatively inspiring to just make some kind of odd stuff. All right, anyway, you can rewind and watch the beginning of the stream to see my favorite new updates from the 3.0 update of the 404 Mark II. There's lots more than the ones that I just talked about, so your best bet is checking out Roland's official video where they detail even more of the updates. I will be dropping a new video with the 404 on Tuesday. I have also started streaming on Twitch, so if you are on Twitch, please give a follow over there. It would be super appreciated. And I streamed every day this week, besides today over on Twitch. So definitely go hang out over there because there's a lot of fun stuff happening. I'm going to try to clip this video and get you guys a feature video out so you don't have to revisit the live stream. But that'll be that. So thank you all so much for hanging out, checking out the 404. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for that video on Tuesday of the beat session that I did with it. This was great. I hope all you 404 users enjoy this update and dig in over the weekend. And if some of you who were considering getting a 404, like the poll we ran at the top of the stream, wonder if we've pushed you in one direction or the other. But anyway, that is going to be it, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.